Securing your code properly can be a pain in the ass, but it doesn't have to be. My name is Anthony, and I'm currently an engineer at Microsoft, and I'm going to show you a few ways in order to make your code more secure. There are a lot of new technologies within Azure, as well as the Azure DevOps solutions that can give you a lot of leeway when it comes to securing your plaintext secrets. Things such as managed identity, variable groups, and other environment files can make it much easier for you to secure your code while you're developing it. So the main culprit of secure code is plain text secrets or API keys within scripts or other specific files. So in order to combat that, we can figure out other ways to ignore the specific files, as well as putting those keys in a safe place that we can also use within our scripts. So the first step is to use getignore. And as you can see here, we have a star, and then this is essentially a regex of all the .env files that we have stored on our repository. Now with this, we can store any API keys here on our local machine for us to view only, so that when we go to push that in Git, it won't specifically push that with the rest of our changes on that commit. And then afterwards, we can kind of set something up like this. There are specific ways of doing this in every single language, but Python being the most readable, I thought would be the best scenario to test in this case. We can have the .env file loaded in with these few commands. And if we run this, we can actually see that this loads this properly. The only dependency of this is the Python -.env, which can be installed using pip on your local machine. So that's one way we can kind of circumvent a plaintext on our local machine. However, there's other ways to do that within Azure DevOps as well. So if you're doing operations that require secrets, there are ways to incorporate those secrets not in plaintext. One of those ways is deploying all of your secrets on an Azure Key Vault and then referencing them in your specific CI/CD operations from Azure DevOps. For example, in my Key Vault, I have this SaaS token that I generated from one of our storage accounts here in our subscription. I don't want to put this in plaintext in a pipeline, so I store it in my Key Vault and then I reference it over in Azure DevOps. The way that you can do this in Azure DevOps is creating one of these library files and then creating another variable group within the library. What you can see here is I have a service subscription, and then I also have a Key Vault name that references the same Key Vault over here. Now, what I can do is I can add those secrets within Azure DevOps on here and then reference them within a pipeline. On top of this, if you don't want to connect it to a Key Vault, you can also create another library that has specific variables that may not be a secret, or they could be a secret. For example, here, if you see this here, you can change a variable to be secret, or you can just leave it as plain text. I've created a pipeline that showcases how we could use this in a specific DevOps run. So if we see here, so as you can see here, with that specific code, we're downloading those secrets, and then we're able to use that within the specific code. It checks out the repository, and then we print the variable groups. As you can see here, it's not going to print the secret that we linked from the Key Vault, but it will print the thing that is showcased as a not secret. To show you the code that does this, it's just a simple thing. The way you can link the variable groups is through here. You just do -group and then the name of the group that is located within the library. And then you can reference the variables as you would any other way within an Azure DevOps pipeline. Another way to retrieve secrets from an Azure Key Vault is through a Python module called Azure Identity. Instead of using an Azure DevOps pipeline or a local environment, you can also authenticate with your Azure Entry ID and then retrieve Vault specific secrets from there. So as you can see here, we have the Vault name that we were referencing earlier, the secret that we want to retrieve, and then a few other things that retrieves a credential and then a client. With that, we can then retrieve that secret and then print it out on our specific machine locally. So instead of having a bunch of secrets stored on your machine, you can then reference that Key Vault from Azure and then print and use that on your local environment as well. This is also beneficial if you're developing a program and you want to retrieve secrets from a Key Vault, specifically on whatever machine that it's being hosted on. So to get this to work, you're going to need Azure CLI along with the default Azure credential and secret client from the packages and modules here. And what we can do here is we can log in through Azure CLI. It'll give us an account. We'll log in, it'll retrieve the tenants, and this is the tenant that my Key Vault is actually within. And boom, now we have a default credential on our machine that allows us to now run this and then retrieve the specific secret from that Key Vault. Perfect. So as you can see here, if we go to our Key Vault and we click Global Secrets, we click Secret, we can now view that and then view the secret. And that is the same secret that is now printed on our machine. So what this is useful for is for people that, want to have some experience with utilizing Azure Key Vault and then being able to manage those secrets remotely. So those are the 3 ways that I would recommend you handling secrets when you first start programming and coding, whatever you want to package together. There are some more ways that could be beneficial, but I think these are the 3 good ways to start. If you made it to this moment in the video, I truly thank you very much. If you haven't already, if you could like, comment, and subscribe, that will help my channel a lot. Anyways, I hope to see you around the channel more often, and have a good rest of your day.